This show contains adult content. Hello everyone, this is Caleb Sunstead, your host and game marshal. I would like to thank our lovely patrons at the top of the show for making Sounds Like Crows possible. Thank you to Matt Stevens, thanks to Abigail Fennell, Gary Oswald, thank you, Jackie Betts, thank you, and Catherine Drake, thank you so much, along with Jonathan Turner, Kirby, thank you. Kirby, I think my Patreon thing may have just left you off this list for quite some time. It looks like, now that I'm staring at this page. Kirby, if that's true, I'm sorry, but thank you so much for your continued support. You're awesome. Thanks. Thanks to Jared as well, and Kyle Neese, thank you. Ariel Weiss, thanks. And Greg Gray, thank you so much. And thank you to our wonderful musicians, William Cartwright, James Quinn, Levi Rojas, and Rudy Zuniga for our theme music. Thanks, guys. Thanks to all of you, the show is possible, and thanks to our executive producer, Alexandria Majin, for her continued assistance as well. And with all of that out of the way, welcome back to the Weird West. A menagerie of targets have been set up for this sharpshooting competition exhibition that Meadow Crane has set up outside the manor. The primary targets they're shooting at are paper, hand-drawn circles with scores written in them and colorful lettering that are attached to like wooden stand-ees that are directly in front of a backboard of hay bales stacked like 5 deep. These hay bales have been gloriously wasted. Someone has dumped buckets of red paint on the top of them that spilled down most of the sides, creating this bright, contrasting backdrop to the white paper targets that are in front of them. In addition to that, above the targets, wooden posts have been implanted in the center of these hay bales that come out almost like gallows, hanging down these colorful bottles that some are gently clanging against each other, chiming in the wind. They look to be like stained glass, or that there's some type of glass that you like set out in the sun and it changes color to a really beautiful like coral green. And I think there's quite a few of those. Some have already been shattered. There's also servants standing by with targets to be thrown in the air. They've got stacks of colorful glass plates ready to go, and refreshments are being served. Hiram, you don't really know how, you must have drank a lot to not have been woken up by the effort it must have taken to set this up this morning. Clearly, this is something that's been planned and put together. There are bright tablecloths covering tables that have been set up with a spread of food covered to keep the ever-present flies from hanging on them. The air is sweet with a scent of fruit with a slight tang of gunpowder. Crane smiles back at you, Hiram, as you're slowly catching up to the Werthers. I should have picked another name. I just thought it was funny.
It's funny.
It's very original.
Damn it. Fuck.
My wonderful wife managed to get Pansy Daniels, the sharpshooter, to come, and, well, she set this all up so we could have a little bit of a competition. She brought in some local boys or something, and I guess she's going to compete as well, but, I hear Pansy's a hell of a shooter.
Oh, Pansy Daniels. I think I seen her name in the paper, something.
Oh, certainly. She's nationally acclaimed. I don't think any of the local people we have, or my wife, will be much competition for her, but I do enjoy the sport. Come on now, let's catch up with the Werthers. Meadow, it is your turn to shoot. You're keeping the pace with Pansy Daniels. She's a little bit ahead of you in points in the current competition, but you've been doing great so far. Right now, you're in sort of the most random challenge that you've come up with. It's not a sharpshooter standard, but it is something that you've practiced in your spare time and thought would be kind of impressive. The setup with the bottles hanging down that are lightly swinging in the wind have made quick work of the local boys you brought in that thought themselves sharpshooters, each of them having a success rate of about 25 to 50%. But you and Pansy have shot 7 out of 7 each, and she has just taken aim to shoot at her 8th. Pansy Daniels rolls a d12. Oh! She takes aim and rolls a 2 as her bullet shoots past the suddenly swinging bottle as it gets caught in a gale. She swears quite loudly next to you, and a few of the men laugh as Mal gives you a big grin as he's standing next to you, cane in hand.
Meadow gives him a very tight nod. She's very nervous. She doesn't normally shoot with an audience. She shoots to blow off steam.
I think we see her raise her gun with determination, and we get a wide shot. What's she wearing to this competition?
I feel like she's contractually obligated as Mrs. Crane to wear some kind of skirt instead of pants. I feel like that's been agreed upon. So it's a flowing black skirt, but with a very vibrant red blouse that's a little open. She's got a vest on. It's pretty cute.
Hat or no hat?
Probably a little hat, but if she knew her mom was going to be there, it would be her shabbiest hat.
Nice.
Amazing. Yeah, you definitely knew she was going to be there.
Maybe just a shabby little leather. Maybe she borrowed it from Mal. It's not even her fucking hat.
Well, take your best shot. I think mechanically this is at a -2.
Well, all right then. Here I go. God, those are both 3s. Well, I'll spend 1 penny. This is important. She's got to impress her husband, don't like her. That's a 4!
Whoa, hell yeah.
Maybe a loose tendril of her hair flips in front of her eyes as we see him squinting and narrowing, but they both stay open, and we get a shot of her lips as she draws in a breath. And then we hear the gunshot rather than seeing it.
We cut to the bottle shattering, the blue coming free of the string and rattling down behind the targets in front of them. Mal gives you a hoop and a holler, and Pansy Daniels clenches her jaw a little bit and then mumbles, "Nice shot."
Thank you, Miss Daniels.
In the background, as the bottle explodes, we also hear Hiram give one of those yip calls, sort of like, "Ew!" Claps.
Her chest puffs up a little bit, and she turns around real proud, and then she sees her mom.
Your mother meets your gaze with a stony expression you've seen your whole life. She gives you a slight head nod as she continues to talk to the men beside her. You recognize Crane, you recognize Hiram, and it also appears that your mother has her arm around a withered-looking old man you have never seen before in your life.
Mal, who the fuck's that?
Oh, I think that's... Shit. Excuse me. Mr. and Mrs. Werther? Yeah, that sounds right.
Do you know how long they've been a Mr. and Mrs.?
He scratches his neck. I just met them, inside, Thomas introduced me. Oh, Mr. Crane introduced me to them, I think a month or something sounds right.
You never met my mom, did you?
No, can't say I have. You kind of haven't given me the best impression of her, though.
Now you have.
Oh. Fuck.
My thoughts. Exactly.
Shit, did you know she was coming?
I haven't seen her in years.
Shit. What do you think she's doing here, then?
Well, probably just figuring out a new way to ruin my life.
It's probably not that bad, right?
I like your optimism there. But...
maybe she knows Thomas or something?
that's bad news too.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, shit, Mal.
The one sharpshooter that's close enough to, hear you is giving you dirty eyes over your profanity. If you don't say anything to him, he's going to start, talking shit to the guy next to him.
I think she just doubles down on a squint at him as she cocks her rifle.
Pansy says, hey, can we start shooting again, or?
Oh, yeah, you don't have to wait on me. No worries, I'll catch up. It's fine. Just go in order. I'm at the end.
She shrugs, and the line starts to fire again. Pansy takes a shot at another bottle. Oh my god, she misses again.
This chump.
He got in her head.
It's all the swearing.
Yeah, she fires and swears again, and we cut over to Thomas and crew for a moment. Well, nice try anyway, Miss Daniels. And he gives her a little, golf clap before he turns back to everybody. So, Hiram, how do you know Mrs. Werther?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. What? He didn't have an answer for this.
Yeah, this is bad. This is worst case scenario. This is literal nightmare material Hiram never thought would happen. Heart rate and adrenaline is going.
Hiram casts fear. He probably feels like he's made right now, because if she's here for any extended period of time, there is no chance that the fact that she is Meadow's mother is not going to come up, right? Like, that's going to come up.
Right, yeah.
I think Hiram deliberately takes a very long sip of whatever beverage he's managed to scoop off of a nearby table to buy himself time, because this is terrible.
If you're going to do that, she's going to try to start talking.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
Which, I mean, I think Hiram does that, right? You take a long sip,
Yeah.
and then you see her breathe in and kind of look over to Thomas with some vitriol in her eyes.
Seeing that she's about to speak, he will finish his sip, swallow very quickly, and cut in, try to talk over her.
Yeah.
She never had, like, any kind of relationship with his parents or anything, right? Like, he was just a kid about town who had a bad rap because his family had a bad rap, and she knew that Meadow was, like, around him.
Yes, I think she probably had heard bad things about your parents. You know, if you talk to the sheriff, you know, they were always getting locked up and shit.
Maybe he'll lean into that. Hiram doesn't really seem like he cares much about his family. In fact, he doesn't care about his parents because they got him painted in a negative light for most of his life.
Yeah.
So, okay, let me... I might have been a bit of a young rascal, you know, once upon a time. Didn't come from the most prestigious family, but the good Mrs. Werther is quite a talented seamstress, as I understand it.
Let's see what that does to her vitriol. Would you give me a persuasion roll?
Yes, and I think we said Hiram's at a D8.
That
Yeah,
sounds
that
right.
sounds right.
I don't think he has charismatic. Oh, God, 1 and a 3. I did take charismatic.
Wow.
It's right here on my
Look at
sheet.
you.
Well, thank God for that. Blew up a 6 into a 6 into a 3. 15.
Wow.
Much better. Thanks, charismatic.
Well, one of the families in town had to make a go at running a real business, eh, Hiram? Does that mean you've changed your ways, Hiram Crow, from the rapscallion of those days before? Have you found God?
Well,
Well,
No one can find God, Mrs. Werther. I believe that's why they call him such. Thomas says, seeing your discomfort and deflecting it away.
Hiram tries to give him a subtle side nod of his head, maybe an almost wink with the quirk of a smile. As you say, Thomas, we're all sinners here in this borrowed world, just trying to do our best, become better people, make the world a better place for the folk who live around us. That's what Mr. Crane is here to do, make the world a better place.
And you, too, are going to help me and Hiram do it. I assure you I can vouch for Mr. Crow as he is these days. A fine, upstanding gambler.
Hiram straightens up a little bit in his still slightly dirtied suit, which he's tried to brush off, but if he was lying on his back, there's probably someone he couldn't reach.
Now, since Hiram is here, Mr. and Mrs. Werther, perhaps we could talk business for a moment. There is a gunshot followed by a loud "fuck" as Pansy Daniels misses her shot. There's a look of surprise from many of the other competitors. Mrs. Werther straightens up with a frown come across her face as Crane shouts over, "It was a fine attempt, Miss Daniels. I'm sure it was the wind." And then we cut over to Meadow. Can hear Thomas yell over the wind at Daniels, and Daniels turns to you expectantly, throwing her gun over her shoulder with an exasperated frown.
maybe Meadow mutters under her breath, "Oh, must have been the wind," as she goes to shoot again. Holy shit. That's a 16, but without the penalties.
Wow. Okay.
Could she shoot 2 bottles at once?
Oh, man.
As they're swinging
Yeah,
on the twine
the
from the tree.
pendulums.
Yeah, that's cool. You have been practicing for weeks in preparation for this competition, Meadow. Mostly for fun, but a little bit of you was hoping to do well. And while this doesn't score you any extra points, it is certainly going to be the most impressive shot that's occurred in this entire competition. Mao hoops for joy. I think you turn back around to the group behind you. Your eyes fall first on Crane, who is not even looking this way. He's engrossed in a conversation with Mr. and Mrs. Werther, and his eyes dart over to you momentarily, but he continues his conversation. What's Hiram doing in reaction to the shot?
Hiram is watching her shoot, and when she smashes 2 bottles at once, he puts thumb and forefinger into his mouth and does one of those loud pealing whistles, claps very solidly a few times after that, very pointedly not looking at Meadow's mother as he does this, trying to make this as nonchalant as he can.
Maybe the whistle was so loud Mr. Werther could hear it.
Yeah, Mr. Werther looks up and starts to clap. Meadow, your mom, looks over and kind of nods tightly at you. Crane just turns his head for a moment to yell with one cupped hand, "Excellent shot, Miss Daniels." And then he turns back to the conversation.
It's just a tight shot on her face, and we see her visibly gulp, and maybe her eyes track over to Hiram, and they do one of those looking down and away, but then back. And then she turns her attention back to the bottles. She just so desperately wanted Thomas to pay attention to her today. That's all she wanted.
Mal comes up to you as the next shooter steps up. Damn, were you trying to do that?
Of course, I'm always trying.
You're always trying to shoot 2 bottles?
When the stars align, you shoot them.
That was a really good shot, Meadow.
Thanks. Been working real hard.
It shows, yeah. Mal kind of looks at you for a second, looks back to the group, sees Hiram smiling, looks back to you. You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
I mean, yeah, if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. I'm not trying to pry. Sorry.
No, it's all right. It's just not an out time, fun time, shooting gallery kind of conversation. Maybe later.
Okay. Well, whatever you need. And he turns back as the next shooter takes aim. On slightly more skittish horses, the Crow Boys race with renewed vigor towards Fort Frogmouth. I think we get a shot of Lucky peering up at Harper, scowl on his face. How is he reacting? Like your brother just murdered a dude on the ground.
More concern than scowl, I guess.
Sure. You guys race on ahead. This place certainly used to be a fort, although it seems like its once grand purpose of protecting the frontier has been lost as civilization encroached around and past it in recent years. There's buildings outside the old wooden palisade that's had multiple parts sort of brought down. There's not so much gates as there is openings in it, almost like a castle in the middle of an old medieval city or something, you know. There's not many buildings. There's maybe 20 in total, 8 of them being saloons. But you can sort of see popping out behind the wood barricades a recently constructed courthouse. Old red brick coming up about 2 or 3 stories with a central citadel in the middle of it that is like a bell tower without a bell, reaching out from the top of it. I mean, I don't think you guys approach apprehensively, so I'm just gonna...
No. I'm sorry, what time of day is it?
Probably about 3 p.m.
On our approach, Harper wants to pull out his badge as well.
Cool.
Yeah, boys, just tell them we're Arizona Rangers. Ain't nobody knows what a badge looks like. We need to get in there and talk to the sheriff.
I mean, the sheriff will probably know what a badge looks like, Abel.
It's the mob we have to worry about, Lucky.
I mean, there's just 2 of them. Am I misunderstanding this?
Not the mob.
You did say the whole town was up in arms coming to kill the Clan twins.
I think the 2 of them was referring to the sheriff and whoever the sheriff has helping them.
They're trying to stop the lynching. And I guess we are too.
Well, shit.
Well, it sounds like we're trying to bust them out before they get hung, right?
Maybe.
Why else are we here? You want to talk to them? You didn't want to tell anybody else anything, but you want to talk to them?
I think we should have a discussion inside the sheriff's office.
Suit yourself.
A once perhaps peaceful protest has turned to shouting on the edge of violence. 100 people, if not more, pressed up against the courthouse steps. A weird contrast between old frontier buildings and this new stately-looking building dominating the center of the fort. Stone streets have started to be placed and constructed around the town, and your hoofs clack on them as the stench of excrement reaches your nostrils. It's a bunch of people shouting, with sort of 5 or 10 people up on the steps shouting at who you would presume is the marshal and the other of his deputies on the steps, sort of one hand on his weapon and other hand pointed down at them, and they're exchanging words that you can't hear over the crowd.
Does the crowd look armed?
Yeah, these are frontier folk. Many of them are holding weapons, or at least have weapons on their hips.
Do they look just like farmers with guns, or do they look like gunslingers? Abel's trying to suss out how frightenable these people are.
Why don't you make a notice roll for me?
So that's a 2.
I think what Abel knows about this is rarely do mobs react rationally.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to put a read on these people, but I mean, they all look like hard folk. People that survive in this type of community are mostly self-sufficient people.
So we're all on our horses in the street, perhaps like half a block behind this big mob, right?
Yeah.
Abel looks to the boys. Any bright ideas, or?
I mean, we talked to the sheriff, right?
Yeah.
That's him up there. How do you plan on getting to him, Lucky?
We show a couple badges and we talk to the sheriff.
Do you think that's going to keep the mob from turning on us?
Didn't go so well last time.
Well, it'll go better this time.
All right, Lucky, you go ahead and do that. I'll go do something smart. And Harper kind of pulls off and starts riding into the town.
So that never ends well when he says that.
Nope,
Yeah.
never does.
Yeah, so who's with me?
Well, what are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Well, I'm going up to talk to the sheriff.
Sounds good. I'm with you.
All right.
All right.
Oh, I'm not doing
Hey,
that.
boys, you follow my lead, all right?
Well, I don't like that either, but I'm going to let you take it away.
All I'm doing is looking for like a lantern or a torch or something I can start a fire with. I'm going to
The
sit.
smart play. The smart play.
Yeah, I'm going with Harper.
I'm going to get as far away as I can while still being able to see what's going on. If something starts going wrong with the boys, he's just going to start a fire.
You ride up on like a tavern boardwalk and snatch a lantern off the front porch. Abel, how would you like to get through this crowd?
Ride slowly towards the crowd. We're going to be behind them. When we're relatively close, Abel's going to fire his gun into the air like 3 or 4 times to get their attention. And then he's going to start hollering about how he's the judge here to oversee the hanging of these bastards, and he's got the Rangers with him.
Uh-oh.
So let him through.
I like it.
What do you want to roll here? I think it's persuasion or intimidation.
I think it's probably intimidation. If his move is to get up behind him and fire off a gun to stun them all into silence and then just try and like bully his way through their psyches, I feel like that's intimidation.
That sounds cool.
He's not trying to plead with them as much as make it clear that don't fuck with me.
You're doing this to the sheriffs and stuff?
Just the crowd.
I think I want to do this as a skill challenge. I think you need 3 successes total, so it's possible you'll get this all in one go. I think what you're going against here is, number 1, you've got to actually get the attention of the whole crowd. Number 2, like just firing a gun is like a huge source of confusion and like quite a few shouting people at the front, you know, and who knows if it can actually get their attention. The third, it's like these people came here with intent today to kill these kids, and like this is extremely surprising, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
No negatives on your first roll.
So we're rolling up, kind of like slowly coming up behind this crowd. Abel pulls out his shotgun and just kind of lets it hang down and glances at the other 2 boys and like, get your guns out, boys.
I don't know where my gun is.
With one big boom, Abel fires that shotgun straight up into the air and hollers out, "Hey!" And I'll make that first roll. 5.
1 success of 3. Yeah, I think there's a moment where like the sheriff puts his hand on his gun and the people on the steps put their hands on their gun, but like one of them looks back and like points at you and you can't quite hear what they're saying, but the people near you turn around sort of startled. You make like a little half crescent in the crowd between you and the courthouse. And a lot of the crowd has turned their attention to you. Some of them weapons at the ready, but not aimed at you.
Quiet down. We are here to hang these bastards. Into a 9.
The card I pulled this round is a spades, so that's at a -2, since spades are clubs for skill challenges now. So you do not get a raise, and that's a second success. Some of the crowd starts to mutter. Most of them put their weapons down, and I think your 3 horses start to push into the crowd. One of the people on the steps starts to walk down, a scowl on her face as she calls out to you. And just who the hell are you then?
The law of Arizona, and as I understand it, we are a law-abiding people. I am an appointed judge by Crane himself, and these are my rangers. You will stand aside, ma'am, or I will gun you down.
Great, let's see it. This is also a spades.
Nice.
6 blows up.
Nice.
6 blows up. 14 minus 2, 12.
You pull up your horse in front of her as she lowers her weapon. And just what the hell took you so long?
Justice follows its own time, ma'am. Do not question God or me. He dismounts, tosses her his reins, and starts walking up the steps.
Lucky's just nodding and looking tough behind him.
Cool. Yeah, Ellis is also a striking, intimidating figure.
Yeah, Ellis is scary as fuck, dude.
You get your sunglasses. I've got my golden Roman cavalry man. Very nice suit, though.
Abel, you push up the steps as a sheriff with a stunned expression on his face cracks a relieved smile as he pops up his hat. Well, hell, Judge, it's about time you showed up.
It is. Let's get inside. Ellis,
Yeah,
you get this crowd out of here.
I think we can handle that.
You walk inside with Marshall and the deputy that follows behind you as Ellis and Lucky move towards the crowd. Harper and Thaddeus, it seems like they've gotten inside the courthouse and nothing has gone wrong. Are you just going to skirt the perimeter? Or?
I think Harper's standing, he's got whatever he's going to use to start a fire, and he's standing next to a building, and he's waiting until that crowd disperses before he decides what he's going to do.
Yeah, I think I'm going to try to get like a cross angle from another building across the, if there's like a courtyard.
If one could be drowned by mahogany, you certainly would be, Hiram. The scent of the rich wood and the claustrophobic feel of Thomas's study presses around you. Mal is standing nervously beside you, both of you in front of Thomas's desk. Thomas is leaned over intently, asking both of you questions about the job you just pulled as he fingers through the book you've just successfully heisted. Did anyone see you two, Hiram?
Oh, come on, Thomas. You think I'm gonna let somebody spot us when we're out on a job?
His eyes flash up to Mal. Yeah, I mean, there was one guy that got close, but it was no big deal.
I am still amazed. How many grown men are still afraid of the dark?
We cut to a darkened hallway at night inside your target's manor. Not quite as large as Thomas's, and certainly easier to break into, Hiram, but it is older. Everything here seems to be from the birth of the revolution itself. You and Mal have made your way in at night, listening closely to the footfalls around, and for the most part things have been quiet as you've tried to suss out where the study is. The limited intel Mal was able to scrounge up at a party the other night has led you there. Although you're not quite sure where it is, you know at least it's in this wing of the house. Up ahead, Mal hears it before you do. Footsteps approaching from around a corner of these rich wooden hallways. He flicks a few cards between his hands. Hiram, someone's coming. Can you get the lights?
Yeah, I'm on it. Hiram procures his own deck of cards from one of his coat pockets and begins to thumb through them, turning them over in his palm, and he casts Obscure.
The lights cut to black, the gas-powered lamps going dark just moments before the figure walks by. You and Mal stopped crouched down to the floor, not silhouetted, you having turned out the gas lights behind you as well. Whoever it is looks uneasily down the hallway, and then walks off to some other part of the house, obviously confused. Mal flashes back a grin at you in the dark, and then kind of motions up ahead. Close-up shot of him riffling the cards, somehow silently, with one thumb, just rolling his finger up the deck, trying to feel for something that isn't there. And after a few steps at one of the doors, he finds it. His hand stops for a moment, and then he flips over the card. And instead of having the face of any suit as he flashes it to you, it's clearly the symbol of just an illustrated book. He closes the deck and then leans against the door, trying the handle, and he shakes his head your direction, indicating it's locked as he turns towards the hallway the servant just walked by in.
So Hiram takes soft steps, heel to toe, over to join Malachi, places his own hand on the doorknob to give it a try, just out of habit more than anything. A small grimace. You think there's another way in?
Malachi riffles through his cards for a moment and then shakes his head. No way.
No. Been a while since I had to try this out. Hiram is going to try to pick the lock.
Cut back to the study. Are you sure there's no way anyone knew you were there then?
Well, had to pick the lock on the door, but we closed things up on the way out. Weren't any other way to get in. It was either that or leave it.
Cut back to the lock. I'd like a roll just to see how well you do this.
Probably thievery.
Yeah,
right?
that sounds great.
Hiram probably has either a D6 or a D8.
I think you have a D8. That's
D8.
kind of like what you do.
Yeah, I mean, it's like lock picking pockets, probably some sleight of hand stuff. Ooh, blew up a 6 into a 5, 11. Yeah, so Hiram produces a small lockpick set, and with one last furtive glance over his shoulder to make sure the servant isn't coming back, he makes quick work of the lock, pops it open, there's a small click, and he looks over to Mal with a smarmy smile and says, "Hey, like riding a bicycle. I don't know how to ride a bicycle." And then opens the door and makes his way inside.
Mal actually pops a grin at that, the first one you've seen from him in a while. He pulls a card from his deck, one with an eyeball on it, licks the back of it, and then silently presses it against the wall where it sticks as he slips inside the room with you. You're inside of a small study, a lamp gently burning, either forgotten or perhaps kept here for late excursions by restless inhabitants. It's covered wall to wall in bookshelves, and it's a small, either cozy or claustrophobic room, depending on how you look at it. Mal looks back towards the hallway, flicks his deck once, and then starts to move to the walls as we cut back to Thomas Crane's study. Was our mutual friend lying about where the ledger was?
Oh, you weren't lying, Thomas. And if there's a book, Mal here can sniff it out. You believe me, I've seen it before. He can smell the ink on those pages.
Mal rolls his eyes, and as he rolls them, we cut back to his face in the study. It's like he's flicking the deck at the wall, running his thumb over one side of the deck with a flicking motion, like every couple feet, trying to hear for something or feel something in his deck. Eventually, he stops at one of the walls after taking a few seconds, and he kind of knocks lightly on the bookshelf. I think it's this one, Hiram. And he looks back towards the hallway and flicks his deck again, checking his sentry hex in the hallway.
Let's have a look-see. Almost clapping his hands together before remembering they're supposed to be quiet. And then he just steeples his fingers as he makes his way over to the bookcase. Hiram produces a deck of oily, inky black cards into his hand and turns them over passively as his eyes scan the bookshelf. And as he continues thumbing through the cards, turning them over, the familiar blue spectral glow illuminates a small pocket of the dark office, and we see the scene begin to change.
You see the room as it was just earlier today, Hiram. And you see the figure who you assume to be the target of this heist, Marcus Lafayette, come into the room. His tall, statured figure with a big Stetson hat. He closes the door carefully behind him, locking it, and then moving to the bookshelf you find yourself by. His hands glide along the books, fingering them delicately before landing on Central Texas Law, Volume 2. He grabs it just like something out of a mystery book, Hiram. There's a click and a pop, and then he pulls the bookcase out as we come back to now, and your hand is on the bookshelf. Your eyes glance over to Central Texas Law, Volume 2.
Hiram's mouth breaks into a satisfied smile as he takes slow steps towards the book, his fingers tracing the spines of the other tomes as he makes his way over. Marcus. Central Texas Law. Bit on the nose, but he gives a little tug to hear that familiar click.
As Hiram pulls on the book, some of the woodwork that looked like intricate carvings are just disguised hinges, and you can pull it out like a big safe door you might find in a bank. Just a small room behind it, like 3 by 3, mostly dominated by a desk that seems to be very neat and orderly. And then Mal says, "Shit, Hiram, did you lock the door? Somebody's coming."
I thought you did. You came in after me.
He moves over to it and like throws it shut. Oh, what do we do? Do you want to hide in there? You want to just risk it if they come in here?
Probably shouldn't. Let's get in there. Let's see if we can close it up.
Okay. Yeah, he comes over and you can see him like sweating as he comes past your calm figure and steps inside. There's a handle on the other side, like a pull bar or something, and you pull it shut and you're like thrown into darkness, and you just hear the quiet, muted riffling on Mal's deck as he checks in with the ward.
How's it looking? We clear?
Hold on, let me feel it. Closer. They stopped. Shit, I don't know what they're doing. They're just standing there. They're not coming in. They're not.
All right, shh. He kneels down, I think, out of habit for when he's in places where he shouldn't be. He angles one ear towards the bookshelf or the door where they've just come through, trying to hear any sounds of motion coming from the other side.
There's nothing for a few moments, and you don't even hear them as they start to walk away, as Mal says, "Okay, they're leaving. It's hard to tell, but I think they just relit all the lamps in the hallway."
Oh, so right, we'll be out here for long, he says, pushing himself back to his feet, stretching his back a little bit and glancing around the room. What is it with rich folk and secret rooms? That's the first thing they do when they make it big. This fella's a rancher, right? All day he's out there on the field just thinking, one day I'm going to make it. I'm going to build myself a hidden room, hide all my secret treasures.
Mal starts to chuckle despite himself, the tension breaking his nerves, and he starts to laugh, and then he realizes he's laughing a little too loud, and then he puts his hands on his mouth, but he's still laughing, and the fact that he can still hear himself is making him laugh harder. It starts to like break into a full-blown laugh. What do you want to do?
Oh, shh. Come on. We're still on a job. I know I'm funny, but come on.
When you say that, it just makes him laugh harder. I'm going to make a roll.
Malachi.
The notice roll from the hallway is very bad.
Okay.
Do you want to do anything, or are you just scolding him?
He scolds him playfully at first, but then glances back to the hallway and says, Malachi, come on.
Sorry. Can you not be funny when we're like breaking into some rich guy's house?
All right, fine. I'll be all serious like Tommy Crane. Well, as you know, we're here to find a ledger.
God damn it. Cracks up again and covers his mouth again, and then punches you on your chest.
All right. Let's get it and get gone.
Your eyes land on the desk to where it's clear that the entire purpose of this desk was built around one single purpose: to serve the ledger that sits upon the desk. As we cut back to Crane's study with him holding it in hand. No trouble on the way out, then. Easy in, easy out.
Like a flapping saloon door, Thomas.
He looks up at you. Stony expression breaks into a smile. Well done, both of you. I can't believe it. Amazing how well your powers suit this type of work. Both of you, I mean that. You've done excellent work here.
Oh, thank you, Thomas. One thing, if y'all got any kind of, secret doors or anything like that you just built into your house, don't hide the lever behind a law book. Just do something more clever.
I will be sure to remember that, Hiram. Malachi, I know you have expressed some discomfort with the idea of... Oh, no, it's fine, Mr. Crane. I think we are a good team. Yeah, Hiram?
I think there's a momentary flicker of maybe somewhere between annoyance and anger at, knowing that Mal would have said something against him, but it quickly passes. I think Hiram has needed to internalize how he treated Mal, at least to some extent. So he just gives a polite smile and nods and says, "Yeah, of course, we make a good team. We'll get it done for you, Thomas."
Well, I do apologize that you won't be able to be present for my meeting with Mr. Lafayette, but I assure you there will be more than enough in here to get him in business with us.
Thomas, I don't really ask too many questions, but from what I've seen, you sure you want to be in business with this kind of man?
He leans back in his chair for a moment, taking you in. I think you recognize the look of, how much should I tell you?
To which, maybe if Hiram sees that, he puts his hands palm up in front of him, not in an overly exaggerated way, but just saying, I'm just saying, not trying to overstep my station. This is what you're paying us for.
What strikes you as dangerous about this? Are you talking about getting in with someone that's about to be a judge, or maybe someone that owns more heads of cattle than I do, for example? Or do you think you could really hurt us? That ledger you've brought to us, Hiram, is better leverage than any noose could ever have on Marcus Lafayette. We have his life in our hands. No, I don't want to be involved or have him continue this, he flicks a hand at the ledger, this extreme business of his, but knowing the kinds of things he's been into gives us better leverage than most people. Most people may have some skeletons in their closet. Lafayette has a house full of them. We can pull him in with our noose. And once he's reined in, I'm sure I would love to be in business with him. The West is developing faster than the law can keep up with, and those justices put in power, the circuit judges, well, they basically have complete control over the territories, certainly, and massive control over the state of affairs in the state. We have to go through all this trouble to get something on Marcus Lafayette, but let's say someone in Texas finds out about what we're doing, Hiram. They can just be rounded up by Lafayette as soon as he's got his position as circuit judge, hanged for some minor offense, and we move on with our lives. Get enough of those judges in our hand and, well, we don't need to own any territory. We can just own the judges. Do you have a problem with working with a man like this, Hiram? Or the man he soon used to be?
I'd sooner kill a man for what he's done than many other things, Thomas. I don't want to be involved in what he's doing, but if you get that noose around his neck and you get him in your corner, be a good dog. He shrugs.
When the time comes, Hiram, if it comes, I will certainly let you be the one to pull the trigger.
I ain't saying I want to be your Grim Reaper. I'm just saying.
It's like you told Mrs. Werther, Hiram. All men can change. Would you have me judge you based upon what she knew back when you lived in the same town? Or would you have me judge you on the man you can be?
I just as soon not have anybody judge me, but he gives a nod of understanding. I see your point. Hopefully he can change and does, but that ain't my place.
He nods briskly at that and kind of slams the book shut, stands up. Take the week off. Have some time. Ride whatever horses you like or whatever funds you need to go into town and have your fun. When you return, we've got a few more judges to hang. The marshal leads you inside, Abel, to this new stately building. Large, wide hallways and big entryway. Marble pillars that have been imported from somewhere. Looks way too rich for, this type of town to afford. New electric lights hanging, chandeliers above you. Marshal says, "Hell, Judge, how quick's this going to be? I don't think those folks are going to wait very long."
They'll wait as long as I say.
He's a young man, got a scraggly beard that's grown in patches, a round, kind face, and a strong chin, sort of simple clothes. Okay, well, what do you need from me?
First, Abel looks around. My rangers and I will need a drink and a place to sleep. It's been a long, dusty ride.
Well, Your Honor, I think you misunderstand the situation. I don't think that crowd's going to wait that long.
I don't misunderstand shit. Have you ever shot a man for disrespecting you?
I never shot a man that didn't break the law.
Disrespecting me is breaking the law. Now, about that drink.
James, get the man a drink. James runs off. Cut outside to Lucky and Ellis walking down the steps. The figurehead of the crowd, like a hardened 40-year-old woman with a sharp, angled features and green eyes. She's got short-brimmed, narrow hat and mostly black clothing. She's got a revolver, left hand.
All right, Lucky, do what you do best. I don't normally disperse crowds. I gather them, but let's try it. He goes over to the woman.
She's looking up at both of you confused and says, I don't understand. How did it take the judge 3 months to get here?
Well, he's a very important man. Thomas Crane has him working directly under him.
I don't give a shit about Thomas, whoever the fuck you are. You got nothing to do with this. Those are my cattle that have been stolen by the Clanton twins, and we ain't a lick closer to getting them back. Do you plan on Judge and you lot getting them back for me, you Rangers? Marshall ain't doing shit.
Listen, man, the only man that bosses that Judge around is Crane himself.
Well, lucky I ain't a man then, huh?
When you want to go give it a try, they can probably make room for you on those gallows.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
She, cracks her neck both ways.
Lucky slowly pulls up the Ranger's badge and shows it to her, and he starts tapping it with his left hand. Hey, don't worry. We'll get you everything you need. We'll reimburse you for everything you want.
What the fuck's wrong with your hand?
Oh, shit, that's right. You know, being a Ranger is real dangerous business.
This is going to be a skill challenge, persuasion roll. I drew spades because, half the deck is spades, so you're getting a -2 on this.
Got it.
Okay.
Additionally, if you fail this, you just lose the whole challenge because it's a spades.
That's
Something
a
you
lot
get to
worse.
tell us,
Thanks,
Caleb.
Thaddeus.
What is that?
All right, I'm spinning a betting. Boom. 9 after the negatives.
2 successes in the skill challenge. The Clanton twins rustled over 200 heads of cattle. You're telling me you're going to reimburse me 200 heads of cattle? You personally? Or the judge behind you? Or fucking Thomas Crane?
Lucky is nowhere near his gun. He's going to just be calmly using his hands to hopefully pacify this woman. Hey, I understand. I get it. Don't worry. They will see justice, and soon. But don't worry. Under Thomas Crane, which we represent, there's going to be a whole new beginning. You'll get all those cattle back reimbursed.
Roll it, I guess, yeah. It's a spades again.
Uh-oh.
No.
Well, there you go, guys.
Is
That's
that
it.
Snake Eyes?
What are you going to do?
She peeks closer at the badge tapped with your left hand and then looks up to your eyes, back to the badge, pulls back on her haunches with a smile. I think if you want to see justice done, I think you better get out of the way. Come on, y'all. Ain't nobody stopping us now. And she's going to try to push past you as the crowd starts to march behind her towards the courthouse.
I don't think you want to do that, ma'am.
She smiles and cocks the hammer on her pistol and walks up the steps.
Can we, since we're on horses and it doesn't sound like they're running, can we get to the doors first and get inside?
Yeah, I don't think they'd shoot you or anything.
Well, I think Lucky just makes eye contact with Ellis. Well,
Yeah.
and Lucky just hoop and books it up there on his horse
Cool.
and tries to get in there before him.
Yeah, Lucky and Ellis's horses surge ahead of her and mob behind her. Honestly, ride through the courthouse doors. They're probably large enough that you can push through them with the horse. And as you pull up in the marble doors, the crowd is surging up the steps about 15 feet behind you.
Well, you think you can hold him off?
I can try.
Don't kill anyone.
No promises, Lucky. And I crack my
Son
knuckles.
of a bitch.
Lucky, you pull off your horse deeper into the courthouse.
Yeah, definitely.
Harper,
I smash a lantern through a random building, through the window, and start a fucking fire in somebody's house.
yeah, let's do it, man. So
What do
the
you want me to
crowd's
roll?
surging up there. I don't think we can roll to start a fire. I think you can start a fire, but you're trying to roll to pull away the crowd.
Yeah, I think his tactic here is to start a fire and then get to a place where they're not going to be able to see him and just start screaming fire. In 1880, a fire will destroy an entire town. This is not fucking around. Somebody's house is on fire. That's literally the entire town stops what they're doing to handle that. So I think for
I
me,
think this is a performance roll.
I was going to angle for stealth because if they see me, they're going to be like, who the fuck are you?
Well, shit, you're almost
But-
arguing for stealth and performance.
Yeah, I don't think the stealth is super important. I mean, this is a crowd that's super distracted at the moment, that's surging into the building. I mean, one person, they're not going to be able to pick you out. You're screaming fire. But you're really trying to pull an entire crowd with just your charisma and showmanship. I don't really see another
Well,
argument.
I think I've got a way to help. I've got the obscure spell, which will make a smoke cloud that could help, sort of amplify what's going on before the fire really kicks off.
That's cool. So you want to aid his performance roll?
Yeah, I can see that as
Okay.
he's starting to get it going, it's not really kicked up yet.
Okay, do it, man.
All right, well, it's 5.
Cool. So Harper, you get a +1. You take the lantern and find probably a tent building, something that's been set up recently, almost like a general store on the inside with things hung from strings and stuff. And you can just break it on one side of the canvas.
Perfect. 5 minus 2 plus 1, so that's a 4.
Cool. The front crowd surges towards some people behind are like, hey, fire, And the people in the back, I think we're sort of looking for an excuse not to be involved in this. And they pull away, and I think you pull about 50% of the crowd away.
Cool.
Lucky, you're riding up inside of a very stately hallway. The ceiling is like 40 feet tall. It's like 20 feet wide, nicely carved marble around you. Up ahead are like the open doors to the chambers of a courtroom. And you see like James running up, the deputy, with a bottle of whiskey as Abel is sort of standing, seemingly getting ready to head into the courtroom, I think. I mean, not long has transpired in the fiction.
I guess to get to him, do I need to dismount?
No, I mean, it's huge.
Okay, so then I'm going to ride I'm just going to basically go full throttle all the way up until Abel. And then calmly lean over, whisper something into Abel's ear, kind of explaining the circumstance, and then turn to the other two gentlemen. Hi, Lucky Crow, Arizona Ranger. Where are you guys keeping these prisoners, by the way? It looks like we're going to actually need to move this execution up a little bit.
The marshal says, holy shit, you're Lucky Crow? Sorry, wait, what do you want to do?
We need the prisoners as soon as humanly possible.
Right now, Sheriff.
We can certainly get proceedings going.
Give me the keys, Sheriff.
Yeah, I'll give you a persuasion roll, Lucky, probably +2 because he knows who you are.
6.
Sure. Well, what's going on? He starts to fumble for the keys and starts to jog in one direction, expecting you to follow.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow on horseback. As you can tell, I'm sure the crowd's giving it away, but we're gonna need to pacify this crowd quite quickly.
Sheriff, is there a back exit out of here? I don't want to see anybody lynched. We'll take care of them on our own time.
I can't let him out of my sight, I'm afraid.
Just take us to the cell.
Yeah, and there's definitely a way out. And he starts to run down the chambers. Okay, Ellis, there's a fire going with a big plume of smoke and 50 people coming up these steps towards you.
Is there a good choke point?
Yeah, you could
The doors?
stand in the middle of the doors. I mean, they're 12 feet across, probably. 2 big double doors going in here. But, you can stand there and kind of attack anyone that's trying to come past you, yeah.
When was the last time you guys watched Ip Man?
Yeah, it's been a minute, but I know.
Too
it's
long.
good.
The hardened woman is the first to reach you, clopping up the steps.
As she's coming up the steps, I think Ellis is just one more Hail Mary. Listen, ma'am, if anything happens to that judge, there's nowhere you can hide from Thomas Crane. This whole town will be burned to the ground.
I think Thomas has made it pretty clear he don't give a shit about us.
Damn, it sucks that these people are low-key on our side.
She's gonna try to push past you, Ellis.
I mean, do I get to do an attack or?
I think we deal initiative for you and a bunch of people.
Okay.
Ellis, she holsters her weapon, cracks her knuckles as the crowd surges up. We get an overhead shot reminiscent of a zombie movie of this horde of people coming towards the lone figure standing like Samson above the oncoming Philistines. Thank you for listening to Sounds Like Crows. I'm Caleb Sunstead, and you can find me on Twitter at MarshallCaleb. Thaddeus Crow is played by Marshall Sims at Mr. Malicious1 on Twitter. You can find him, me, Cameron Reed, and Alex on our other podcast, Omen's Call. Abel Crow is played by Isaac Sunstead at Abel the Crow on Twitter. Ellis Crow is played by Alex Horrell, who you can find on Twitter at Alex Horrell. Luciano Lucky Crow was played by Cameron Day, who you can find on our patron Discord server, The Crow's Nest. Harper Daisy Crow was played by Cameron Reed, who's on Twitter at CJReed211. You can follow the show on Twitter at Sounds of Crows, or find our contact information at soundslikecrows.com. And please tweet at us at Sounds of Crows with the hashtag LuckyPlease. Hashtag LuckyPlease. And a message you want us to talk about in character. Thanks to Allie Nesbitt for playing Meadow Crow. You can find her at YouSeeTheHead on Twitter, or the show that she edits, RPG for You and Me at rpgforyouandme.com. Thanks to Doug Nesbitt for playing Hiram Crow. You can find him on Discord at Doug Berry, or find him on the show he GMs. Look at that, RPG for You and Me at rpgforyouandme.com. This game references the Savage Worlds game system, available from Pinnacle Entertainment Group at www.peging.com. It is unofficial media content permitted out of the Media Network Content Agreement. This content is not managed, approved, or endorsed by Pinnacle Entertainment Group. Certain portions of the materials used are the intellectual property of Pinnacle and all rights are reserved. Savage Worlds, all related settings, and the unique characters, locations, and characters' logos and trademarks are copyrights of Pinnacle Entertainment Group. Thanks for chilling, y'all. We'll see you next Monday.